Hello, and welcome to Commander Aspie. So, who am I? My name is Freya, but my friends call me Frey. So if you'd like to, feel free to. I am an adult on the autism spectrum, but I'll get into that more later. So, what are my special interests? I'm sorry, I just find that a really good way to introduce myself. I'm fascinated by a lot of different topics and interests. These include Star Trek, obviously, my channel name is Commander Aspie, Lego, Winnie the Pooh, and my current area of study, Tibetan. I am actually currently on my year abroad in India studying Tibetan, but I'm usually found in London doing my studies. I would actually like to talk about the experience of an Aspie on their study abroad. So, I do have autism, but I also have a lot of different things. I'm kind of known as slightly medically complicated in my family, but oh well, love how you're born. So I actually have cerebral palsy, mild hearing loss, and autism, or ASC as I was diagnosed with, autism spectrum condition, as well as having lived with a variety of mental health conditions, which I would also love to talk about. So, why am I making this channel? And why am I focusing on autism in particular? You could argue it is the diagnosis I've lived with for the shortest amount of time, and I have many other things I could talk about. However, I don't really see it this way. It's not as if you get a diagnosis and then that's when you start having the condition. I've lived with this condition for 21 years, having only been diagnosed for about a year and a half. I was diagnosed not last summer but the summer before, even though I had lived with this all my life, and I'd always felt like there was something going on, so it made me slightly different. I didn't particularly dislike the fact that I was different, but more the fact that I didn't understand why, and I didn't really have any way to explain it to people around me, making it difficult for people to understand me and me to understand the world in which I lived. Also, I feel like autism is, amongst my diagnoses, the most misunderstood, and I think this is particularly because of limited representation. Even though I am known as the mini Sheldon in my house, not all of us on the spectrum are white men who have every symptom under the sun and are geniuses, even though that would be pretty cool. Also, we grow up. I feel like most of the time, if we're not being shown this Sheldon Cooper model, we're being shown just children. Children who are portrayed as difficult and hard to manage, both of which are issues. A, we grow up, and B, we're not trying to be an absolute pain. We are struggling as much as you to understand what's going on. And I think it's really irresponsible of the media to so limit the representation of autism, because this is the kind of narrow thinking that continues the misconceptions around autism. It's the reason why I wasn't diagnosed for such a long time. It's the reason why when I asked in school in a presentation around autism if I could be autistic, they said no, because you're too loud, you're not shy enough, you're not this enough, you don't have to experience this. As if every autistic person is the same, and as if you've got to fit all the check boxes. These people obviously haven't actually seen what an autism diagnosis appointment actually looks like and is actually like. So I feel, as a member of the autistic community, it is my responsibility a little bit to help shed these misconceptions, to be part of the representation. I mean, who better to inform people around autism than autistic people? Who better to show people what we can do than autistic people? Who better to give an accurate account of the daily life with autism than autistic people? So this is why I'm here. And I feel like if I had, as a younger, undiagnosed person, someone like me who maybe wasn't a walking stereotype of autism, but definitely was autistic. I mean, I was diagnosed within 20 minutes of my last appointment. I would have felt a lot better. I would have, understood myself a bit better. I would have had an earlier access to the language and the ability to advocate for myself better. And I want to give future young people who aren't being listened to, who aren't being heard, a voice. Because we unfortunately live in a world that likes boxes, and that's why people rely so much on stereotypes. It makes it easy for them. They don't have to think as hard about the different people's experiences and about diversity within communities. So I think that's the kind of thinking that as a community we need to start to challenge. So, what can you expect from this channel? Well, I've already kind of hinted at just how opinionated I am, but I would like to give a lot of videos on different aspects of living on the autistic spectrum, especially as an adult. Things like routine, meltdown, anxiety, moving out, dealing with just everyday situations. And of course, as I mentioned, I would like to talk about the experience of studying abroad as an autistic student, because it is a big part of your experience. I might also throw in a few fun videos on my special interests. I could, talk your ear off about Star Trek if you'd be interested, or do Lego reviews once I'm back in the UK, which I would love to do. Time lapses of Lego building would be absolutely great. And I would just like to have a conversation, build up a little community where we can support each other, talk about ideas, talk about things that we might be struggling with, things that we might have solutions for. If anyone can help me with sleeping better, I would love that. So, feel free to stick around. If this sounds interesting to you, then, be a part of the little fam. You can be a lieutenant or whatever. And I'd love to talk to you. I'll hopefully see you soon. Bye. Live long and prosper.